Welcome back to Well, What Do You Know? The podcast where we dig into the stories behind the people you think you know. Today kicks off part one of a two-part conversation with Rob Luther. Rob has lived a life full of chapters. Successful high school athlete, New York actor, longtime high school principal, football coach at programs across Iowa, and above all, a devoted father and husband. In this first episode, Rob takes us back to his roots in Des Moines and Maxwell, shares how he found his way into coaching, and opens up about his unexpected journey into school administration. It's a story of drive, change, and the importance of finding purpose in every stage of life. All right, Coach, thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it.
Man, it was exciting to see you and catch up a little bit.
Yeah, we've already talked. I feel like we've already done an episode before this started here. So first of all, tell me what you're doing now.
Retired.
Yeah.
Semi-retired. I tell my wife I'm working more now than I did. I retired, what's been a year and a half. It's my second school year out of being the principal and football coach at Baxter. But subbing a little bit. I'm working at 2 golf courses. I'm ushering events at the Casey Center with all the concerts and stuff. So I go down there once or twice a month. Really? The big job, though, I'm offensive coordinator at Ankeny High School. So that football thing has been awesome, but it's pretty time consuming. Right. So my wife says, I thought you were retired, and I'm not home. I'm doing everything, but I'm not in charge of a school and that stress. So,
right. So you said Casey Center, Paul McCartney County. So
yeah, I'm
actually part of that?
doing absolutely. I'll do our church Saturday. I couldn't do Jason Aldean because we had played football on Friday nights, but I did Shane Gillis, did the UFC fights. All the big stuff that comes through. I just do the ushering to watch the concert. And, it's been.
Was Gillis fun?
Yeah, Gillis was. He's really awesome, and he's a Notre Dame fan.
I know he is. That's right. Yeah, he is. Got to be the most popular comedian right now. Nate Bargatze and him, right? Yeah. I mean, that's it.
And my son just saw Nate in Sioux City just this last week and said it was just off the chain. It was so great.
He's going to be in Des Moines
in
April?
In next spring, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be, either go or work it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He was great in the Emmys the other night. That whole thing was so good.
He was,
He's great.
So let's start, let's go back, several years. I won't say how many years. You've already said how many years. But so grew up where, Coach?
Well, I was born in Des Moines, grew up on the east side, so I'm an east sider. Friday night at the fair, that's still me. Until about middle school, upper elementary, I moved to Maxwell, Iowa. So
what was that move for?
I think my parents just wanted something different than Des Moines schools, wanted a little more well-rounded, get out of the city a little bit. I was 10 and it's like, whatever, let's go. Yeah. So I went to little town Maxwell, Iowa, where I grew up and graduated. I was the first graduating class at Collins Maxwell in 1984. So that's when they first came together, was 84.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that eventually, so we might as well talk about it now. And we're going to jump ahead a little bit, but you were part of the transition of Collins and Maxwell joining at 83. First year was 84. Then you were part of the transition to CMB when Collins, Maxwell, and Baxter started sharing sports. Then you were part of the split up of CMB. What was that like being part of all those transitions?
It was really an emotional roller coaster for me. So loved my high school experience, played all the sports, did the musicals, the band, all that stuff.
Which is probably why your parents went from Des Moines to a smaller school for more opportunities for you, right?
I wanted to just do it. And both of my parents were big school people, and I don't think they had great experiences in big schools. So they are kids, me and my sister. But yeah, it was emotional because that was a great experience in high school. Went away. Really, truly, when I graduated, I wasn't going to go into education. I kind of thought about coaching a little bit, but I went down a whole lot of other paths before I got back into education. And then a few years passed, and Rick Sullivan, who was a superintendent at Maxwell at the time, Collins Maxwell, gave me a jingle about the head football job. And we can get into that later, but how all that happened it was great. So I spent a year at Collins Maxwell as the dean of students. Okay. 1 year there, and the principal job at Baxter opened. Okay. Coach Seals, Neil Seals, great mentor, him and Coach Sullivan, talked, the three of us, hey, are you interested? And I'm like, I'm not really even an administrator, but if it helps the cause and I can keep coaching football, and it was just an opportunity. Right. So that was probably, to your question, Eric, that was what was great, because now I've got Collins Maxwell ties. Now I'm building Baxter ties, which actually helped build the CMB ties. Right. It had already started a little bit in football, and they've been at a little bit of sharing, but we really ramped that up to the next level. And it just always felt like CMB after that.
Yeah,
so.
And we'll get to the CMB breakup eventually, because that was, you were a huge part of that. Not the breakup itself. Sorry.
I wasn't the cause.
No. Not the breakup itself, but just being the mentor to so many people to get through it. Because it was bigger than people outside of CMB thought it was.
Yeah, it was from where, if they would have known where thought we were heading and what we thought we were going to get accomplished, to then where it ended up, and it happened in a hurry, that's changing for communities big time.
I feel like we just covered 50 years here, so let's back up a little bit and say, tell me about growing up east side of Des Moines.
Well, what I remember about East Side was I do remember my dad working at Firestone. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I just remember we grew up right across from Hoyt. The parks, the kids. It sure doesn't feel like you'd think of East Side. It was just home to me, and I'd play in Grandview Little League. I think it was a great. There was always that Lee Township against the world and all that.
Right.
I just started a little bit of that by the time I left. So I was young. I was 10 years old. I just remember my friends and then quote unquote being the East Sider. Both my grandparents lived on the East Side, so I at least have that in me a little bit. I'm always an East Sider. Yeah.
So you grew up close to both sets of grandparents?
Yes, both sets were Des Moines.
Okay.
So grew up with all four grandparents, mom and dad, sister. Just kind of with it. I'm a huge Notre Dame fan.
Yeah.
So one of the things when I was little, at one of my grandparents, she was the only girl of like 11 brothers, and they all lived in Des Moines. So they all went to Mass, and they all came over for Sunday dinner. We did it every Sunday, and they'd turn on the rewind of Notre Dame. Back in the day, you didn't even get to really watch much football on TV, but you had this Sunday morning Lindsey Nelson rewind, and they were all Notre Dame fans. So I just graduated and developed into the Notre Dame fan because of those Sundays and watching Notre Dame. So that's East Side, because we were all on the East Side.
But it's funny how that probably helped you build relationships with people. I mean, they were already family members, but you probably got close to people because of that. We
had houses full of people. Whether it was at Christmas and the holidays and all the uncles and and it was a lot of older. I have two cousins. Not a big extended from my mom and dad, but they had parents that had all kinds of aunts and uncles, and it was a great set. My dad's uncle lived in Des Moines for a while, ended up moving to Indiana and actually worked with John Cougar Mellencamp. Really? So I actually got to be in the room with John Cougar Mellencamp before with my other uncle. So it's just kind of one of those sitcom parents, grandparents kind of thing. Yeah.
What was his role with John Cougar?
I just knew him from work. Okay. Knew him from work, and he thought he was a songwriter and a guitar player. My uncle wasn't, but he got in that group of people because Cougar was just a Bloomington, Indiana guy. He'd lived in Bloomington, so they were living in the same town.
Gotcha.
Ran in the same circle.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, what do you remember most about the transition then to small Maxwell?
This is crazy. This probably shapes who you are, because I believe it was 4th or 5th grade. 5th grade maybe when I went up there, and it was in the fall start of school. In 77 maybe. And Maxwell Rocket football was at the top.
Yeah.
And Rick Sullivan had this thing rolling. I mean, they were great. So I can remember going one of those first Friday nights, because we're at school. Hey, everybody goes to the Friday night football game, and just watch it. Those kids were bigger than life to me. The Jay Logstons of Logston's Grocery.
Sure.
There was a kid by the name of Dave Jacobson who played football for Earl Bruce at Iowa State. So I'm that little kid, and I'm in awe of Rick Sullivan and those players on that field. Yeah. And then almost immediately, I want to be that one day.
Right.
So I remember that. I remember, in a small school, you grew up in small school, that class, every person you get to know so well in your class, and the grades above and the grade below, and just those relationships are super strong from an early age in small schools.
So being in awe of Coach Sullivan and all those players, that had to shape the football coach you were later on without even knowing it, right? Because I know in Baxter at least, and the Sam kids I'm sure were the same, but you go to those Friday nights, you have the kid captains. Kids always want to be a part of it. They're playing football in the grass on the side of the game, and
that's what small town football's about. I remember Maxwell, when I went and watched a game, they lined the cars up in the end zone, and we still coached it.
Yeah,
there were still cars in the end zone of that little field.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you wanted to be. And it's so funny you talk about shaping. I was in middle school then the next year or two, and Tom Keating, who's the head of the Iowa High School Athletic Association Boys Union, was my basketball coach and social studies teacher.
Wow.
And he shaped my love for basketball. So I kind of always want to be that football guy, but I fell in love with basketball because of Coach Keating.
Right.
And then that's going to turn into what maybe the path I was down before football, really.
Right.
I played football, but loved basketball. Another guy that, small town Maxwell, he just happens to get his first job out of college and, shapes, molds, influences what you still doing. I did with the youth. You never know you're going to touch it when you're going to touch it. Yeah.
Right. So you mentioned basketball, football. What else did you do in high school?
Oh, you know that. Student government. I played the trumpet. I was the lead in the musical. And I played football, basketball, baseball. Ran track when Coach Sullivan made me. We didn't have golf at the time, but I loved golf even back then. So whatever it was, that's just what you did from sun up to sundown was something around school and being involved in schools.
Kept you out of trouble or no?
For the most part. I don't know what Mom and Dad would say. I remember a couple of Coach Sullivan conversations with me in freshman or sophomore that we're going to get this figured out pretty quick.
Right.
He was going to figure it out for me. But it was okay.
Did you stay close to Coach Sullivan?
I just played golf with him this summer.
Did
so
you
he
really?
Still lives in Ankeny. Usually texts me most Fridays, hey, good luck, and still stay in touch. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
To be able to say I'm friends with my high school football coach that when I was 10 years old, I'm standing in the end zone watching him thinking, he's Newt Rockney.
Right.
It's just crazy how that happens.
Yeah, it is. So after high school, what did you?
So I played basketball in high school. Had a lot of success.
Right.
I spent a lot of time at it. I don't know how good I was. I led the state in scoring in high school, 30 a game. Shot a lot of threes. One of my claim to fame, I remember being in the Collins gym, and Johnny Orr came in recruiting, looking.
Yeah.
I don't know how long he was there, but then I got the chance to talk to him after, and he said, "You're not going to fit the Iowa State program, son, but you're a good player, which means you're not good enough to play here." So I went the JUCO route, played a year of JUCO at Iowa Lakes, and ended up down at Missouri Southern, which is another chapter of my life. Was down at Missouri Southern University in Joplin, Missouri.
Okay, sure.
After I'd left, but I went down there to play basketball. Thought that's what it was going to be, and then we changed gears again down there. But so basketball was. That was the sport for me in high school and college.
So basketball got you to college.
Really.
You would have gone to college either
probably,
way. But
it's funny how my son is on Coach Campbell's staff at Iowa State.
Right.
And he didn't play in college. I don't know if I influenced that or not, but I had always told him one of the things I regret, I wasn't ever going to the league. I love the game, but I could have loved the game if I would have went to maybe a Division I school and was a student assistant or just a manager and helped and grew that part. But you know how hard it is to tell 17-year-old kids who are really good athletes, hey, maybe hang it up, but you could be a great kid. No, we're playing, and that was what all I was focused on, was still playing ball.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get to play, you didn't want to be part of it, or
it was both. Like at Iowa Lakes, I started, had a decent run up there.
Mm-hmm.
Went down there, and maybe I lost like everybody says, listen, college is a job, and I still love the sport, but I don't know that. There were a lot of other things going on at college that I wanted to be a part of, other than all that time. So left that and became the director of intramural athletics at Missouri Southern. And then one day I saw a sheet that had a audition for a play. And Marilee Hartscher at Collins Maxwell got me so hooked in theater and musicals. I thought, I don't know, I got some time. I loved it in high school. I went. I got a big part. The show went great. After that, they said, hey, if you don't want to play basketball and want to become a theater major, we can move your scholarship over to theater.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, I'm in, because I was about ready to lose my basketball money. And I thought, well, so that's how I was a communications major. I was going to try to do sports broadcasting. And as soon as they said, hey, I'm like, I'm now a theater major. I don't know. I never thought about it. So that's how I became a theater major.
Wow. So then... what after college then? I continued in theater, right?
Yeah, so I did the shows in college, the community theaters and all that stuff, and I want to give it a shot. So as soon as the day after I graduated Missouri Southern, I went to New York City. Yeah. To give it a shot.
What age would this have been? 20?
I was 22, 21, 22. Okay. Yep. Yeah. And we were just saying before we started, it's one of my. I think you go into New York and either you love this and you're hooked, or you hate the city. And I've loved the city since I was 21, 22. I had a different job besides just acting too, but I was lucky enough to get cast in 3 or 4 things. Nothing big, nothing Broadway, but just some off Broadway, theaters and doing some work. couple 3 years. I was just under 3 years, and I just kind of missed Iowa. I missed mom and dad. I missed my friends. It was great, but out there it's really it's not Midwestern, and I think I missed that part. So then I just kind of, after one of the shows got done, I said, I think it's time just to go back.
Yeah. So do you remember the roles? Obviously you do, right?
In New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably did two big ones. I was in Greece for a while at a theater in Long Island. I did that run for 3 or 4 months, and then they hired me again to do Barefoot in the Park, a Neil Simon play. Then I met somebody else from that who was directing just an original piece that was over in Brooklyn. So those were the big three that I did. And then little table readings and a weekend here doing stuff like that.
What role in Greece?
Danny Zuko.
Really?
Danny Zuko.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
which I'd done the role at a community theater in Missouri one summer, so I'd already done the role. I can't sing. If my son's an ex, he's a show choir guy. If I could sing, I'd still be in New York.
Really?
So, I just maybe carry a tune a little bit. So.
You mentioned other jobs while you were acting. I mean, what did you remember any of that?
Oh yeah, this is pretty creative. So back in the day, before gambling is what we all know of gambling,
right?
There were places called tout services. So guys that were heavy gamblers would call 1-800 numbers, 900 numbers, get charged to your phone to get picks for the Monday night game or get picks at Belmont Park.
Okay.
So I really got into one of those gambling companies that researched the analytics of wins and losses versus spread. It was before it really, there was Vegas, but either you're betting illegally, which most of these guys probably were back in, 92, whatever it was.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time at racetracks talking to trainers and jockeys and clockers, and we'd get out to Vegas and just talk to some sportsbook guys. So I was kind of the right-hand man to one of the big-time guys. And it was a flexible hours and stuff, so it worked. But it was really really interesting
and a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was what a 22-year-old should do before they have a real big boy job. So.
Right. So move back to Maxwell. Mom and dad are still in Maxwell.
They were in Des Moines at the time. So they were in Des Moines, and I always say I have 5 kids, all college graduates, and nobody's living in my basement. So that's a good thing. We've done something good. I ended up moving back in with mom and dad.
Yeah.
Crazy. I didn't know what I wanted to do, Pat. Right. I'd done this theater, and I was still doing stuff at the Civic Center in Des Moines, the Des Moines Playhouse. So I'm doing theater in Des Moines because it's fun and it's my social activity, but I didn't know I had a theater degree.
Right.
I did have a teaching theater degree, but I don't know why it didn't. I just don't know that I was ever hooked on that. So I went to work as a buyer at Yonkers, downtown Yonkers. For truly 5 or 6 months. I was miserable. I hated it. Really? It wasn't me. I don't even know. I kind of knew somebody who knew somebody, and everybody. So going to sales. Rob, going to sales. There's so much money in sales. You have a great way about yourself. Going to sales. Got into sales. I didn't like it.
I hated it.
I love talking to people, but I don't need to convince you into anything. So my mom and dad are frustrated with me at 20, whatever I was at that time, 3, 4, 5, and saying, you've got to figure something out. So I started selling.
Get out of our basement.
That's really what it was. And so I looked up Des Moines, and I was looking for something where I could maybe not work some days and work some days.
Right.
The subbing thing. So I went to Brody Middle School and subbed a theater class, and that day I was having a great time. I'm thinking okay, and one of the downtown English people at Des Moines Public happened to be in the building, walked by, kind of watched me a little bit, grabbed me and said, we want you to be a full-time part of Des Moines Public. So I moved into a long-term sub job that year, which turned into the full-time job at Goodwill Middle School for 4 or 5 years, teaching middle school theater, some high school theater in Des Moines. I was in East in Hoover in the summer and just taught theater. And then the coaching thing hit early. Once I was teaching, it's like, well, let's start coaching.
Right. So how did it hit?
The coaching?
Yeah.
So it was the first full year in Des Moines Public. I saw an ad in the Des Moines Register when there used to be a paper, and there used to be ads that said Van Meter High School is looking for assistant football coach. I looked on the map because we didn't, not our phone then.
Right.
And that's a great Goodwill story. I'll tell you in a second. That's funny. So I sent my resume in. They called me back. I interviewed, and I became the offensive coordinator at Van Meter without ever knowing anything about anything. And that happened really fast. So I spent a couple years at Van Meter while I was teaching in Des Moines.
Right.
And then because I was at Goodwill, then I got over to East High, and that's when I worked 4 straight sports, 4 straight years. I went football, basketball, track, baseball for 4 straight years.
Yeah, and I did it too, and I can't imagine doing it 4.
Me neither. I can't. I don't even know. Yeah. Sometimes when you look back and you think raising kids and coaching 2 sports and being a high school principal, it's like, how? No, I don't know how that happened.
Right.
You just do it. You just do it somehow. So that's really where the bug. But even when I went, I'll tell you the Goodwill story. This is how old I am. You'll appreciate this being a tech guy. I was in year 2 at Goodwill, and they had those professional developments. Not even sure if that's what they called them. We all know how we feel about that. It came over the loudspeaker. There's going to be a meeting or professional development in the library for anybody who would like to talk and learn more about this new thing called the World Wide Web and the internet. And I looked over at my coaching buddy. I was like, I'm going to East to coach today. I'm not. That's insanity. No one's going to be talking to each other through a computer.
Right.
That's not happening. Just give me my $5,000 back to invest in any of those products.
Right. No kidding. Yeah.
That's how funny that was.
This episode of the Well, What Do You Know podcast is brought to you by P Squared Design, where your memories become keepsakes. Imagine this: Grandma's voice reading a bedtime story, even when she's miles away. At P Squared Design, we record those special moments, like grandparents reading to their grandkids, and turn them into lasting treasures. We create a beautiful bookmark with a QR code that, when scanned, plays that recording anytime, anywhere. It's story time, on demand, with the people who matter most. Visit psquareddesign.com to explore our work and start creating something unforgettable. That's psquareddesign.com. P Squared Design. Your story, your voice, your keepsake.
Yeah, so East High went, and I really was focusing on basketball. So that's really what I wanted to be, a high school basketball coach. First football year, I still stay in touch with a few of those guys. Unbelievable sophomore football team, went 8-1, beat Valley, beat Dowling. Had nothing to do with what I knew. They just wanted to be coached hard, and they were great kids. And okay, everybody's like, who's this guy coming into East High? And we go 8-1 with the sophomores who went 1-8 as freshmen. And then I'm like, no, basketball. And I think we might have went 5-21 with my sophomore basketball team. So that really 1 year is how things changed, because then I became the OC at East. The next year that opened up. I was offensive coordinator, had some success, got to Woodward Granger as a head coach, got some success, and then the Sullivan call happened to go to CMB, which I'd already talked about. So that's just kind of how that coaching thing happened.
So let me backtrack. So Van Meter, East,
Woodward
Granger, and then
CMB.
And then CMB.
Yeah, it was always CMB.
Oh, it was always CMB. Okay.
When I got there, it was CMB.
It was CMB already.
For football. Okay. For football.
Gotcha.
So that's how I could be at Maxwell, and they said, go ahead and change your jobs over. You could become the principal at Baxter and still be the same football coach, different building.
Sure.
Yeah, and now Ankeny High School for a year.
Yeah. Wow.
For half a year. So
wow.
Yeah, but that's kind of the coaching tree. Not a lot of stops when you spend. And you didn't have a lot of stops either. When you find a good place. Yeah, you stay at a good place.
That's right.
And Baxter was unbelievably great.
So at what point then, because you have father of five kids, yeah. So at what point, that Grant's your oldest?
Grant is my oldest.
So at what point through that did Grant come in?
Grant was in the picture before I went to Baxter, right towards the end of my teaching in Des Moines. So then Taylor, and then Trent and AJ are my stepsons. With Kristen, my wife now, and then we have one together, Mallory. So blended family, but 5.
Yeah,
all from 30 to been there from the beginning.
Made it work.
Yeah, 32 to 20. Mal just turned 23, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I don't have a grandkid. I just was asked, and I was subbing. I sub at Ankeny.
Yeah.
And it was, if you could change anything, I said, I'd change. I have some grandkids. I am ready to have grandkids.
You're ready to?
I am.
Yeah.
One married, one almost married, a couple other in relationships, but no grandkids.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah. I'm a huge golfer, so I see those golf carts with the grandpa and the little son or grandson, granddaughter. I'm ready to get them on the golf course and buy them their first set of clubs.
So I know you're extremely proud, and I was getting ready to say, you look outside looking in, you would never even realize. I don't think people realize that you have a blended family. You've always, Trent and AJ have just always been your sons. They've been around. Yeah. You see them at Baxter, throughout the years, and. So
I've just learned, blended, not blended. You see people with moms and dads who are strange and the love's not there, and it doesn't really matter when you just have somebody and you do the right things. It's about relationships. Yeah. Call me what you want to call me. Call me dad, call me stepdad, call me Bob. It doesn't matter. It's the relationships we build, for sure. So with all of them.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me how you then transition. How was the transition from theater major, teaching theater to principal?
Horrible. Oh, man. I think I set myself up to fail a little bit because truly, my first year at Baxter, principal would have been 98, fall of 98.
Okay.
And I had not taken an admin class. So back then, you could get the emergency license or, contingent license without doing the classes. So, I take the job. Coach Seals, Coach Sullivan say, we'll help you through. Wow. I think some was being the football coach, and I was passionate about that. So think going into this building principal where you have 25 teachers who are like, I want leadership, and this guy's really a football coach.
Yeah.
So I honestly, and some of those people on that first staff, what year did you get to Baxter? When was that?
07,
okay.
I think.
So I probably had almost 10 under my belt at that time.
Yeah.
Probably just coming out of the bad to about the average administrator at that time. But you just grow and learn. I mean, Neil was phenomenal, our superintendent, and we had a really good veteran staff. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know what I didn't know. I think my discipline was good. I just saw our principal was handling kids, talking to parents, disciplining, but there's so much, there's so many plates that we're moving. But I look back, I don't know how I got into that role, but it's who I am now. So it's funny how you get to those T's in life, and you turn left or right, and then that turns into another T that you turn left or right. And if you looked at my maze, it would be unbelievable how you end up in this seat today. But I think everybody has those stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you? This is going to be a weird question, and I don't mean to poke fun at the word discrimination, but did you suffer any discrimination because you're a theater guy as a football coach?
That's a great. I think I didn't really make it well known. There's two sides of me, and I think it did play okay, like in Baxter. So I would perform at our spring concerts, and I actually directed 3 musicals at Baxter in the time I was there.
Right.
So I think it played well because that's what small schools
I think
do.
you got me to act in one.
We did, and it was were we Guys and Dolls?
No, nothing. It was it was a weird, really uncomfortable situation where I had to. It was speed dating or something like that.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah,
I do kind of remember that.
I had to be a really bad option for a high school girl, which really was the role I was born to play,
and one that you couldn't put out there right now.
It was weird.
Fun, but we were always doing, like you say that, and I'm going back. We were talking about Jason Aker, who's another friend of ours that's an administrator, Hank, and he was in musicals. I was pulling people all the time. One, it was to try to grow programs.
Yeah.
So if these kids see these coaches can step out of their comfort zone and do things like that, you can too. So, I still think anytime you don't see a lot of administrators coaching, especially coaching football. It just doesn't happen, because it is you're really up against it.
It's not allowed in some schools.
No, that's a lot of schools. But you have to be able, and it would just frustrate me. We get some feedback, and the arts don't get this, and the football, and it's like it just never. That was just always going to be the fallback when your principal's the football coach. And it was tough for me for a while. That hurt me, and I wanted to push back and say, and then you just realize they're just looking to complain about something and build a program, and we're going to support it. Look at all the programs that became really good when you were there. And, I mean, your tech club and Cassie's travel. I mean, there's a million things in schools. You show me a great program, I'm going to show you a great person that's running that program. Great kids, but you better have that passionate person who's running that program.
And I think with great schools too, you're going to see. I see it here at Roland Story as well. You're going to see multiple people that are willing to do whatever it takes to make kids successful. And Baxter had that in spades, I thought.
Can you think about the hats? I can tell that the hats I wore in my time at Baxter, from bus driver to AD, to teacher, to principal, to football coach, to golf coach, to baseball coach, to basketball. I mean, I did it all because the answer was there's nobody else to do it.
And it had to be done.
That's it.
And if you don't do it, if nobody does it, kids suffer.
Correct.
And we can't have that.
That's not. What are we going to do? Not have a junior high baseball program this summer?
Right.
All right, let's go, kids. You're going to get in the car. We're going to the baseball diamond.
That's it. I know. Yeah.
Pulling kids.
Yeah. It's just do what had to be done.
That's it. That's it.
So before we get into, the more of the coaching and the whole CMB thing and all that stuff, I would love to just go run down your kids, what you're doing. I know you're extremely proud of them.
Oh, man. I am proud of them. I'm proud because they're not in my basement.
Right.
No,
right.
And they don't ask for money my oldest, Grant, was a theater singer, very talented. He was in show choir, ended up in college. He ran the Iowa State Singers at Iowa State, a cappella group, was very successful at that. Wished he would have went to New York or Chicago.
Right.
He could have been way more successful than me, but you can't live your life for your kids.
Right.
So he did some other things, but right now he has a company. I don't know if it's Grant Luther or what, but he's a show choir doctor. So he essentially choreographs shows, goes in and fixes shows, tightens up shows. He does camps, clinics, judges show choir. This is a busy time for him. So I think he's doing really well.
All out of Central Iowa?
No, across the country.
Okay.
Multiple states. And he's so full he doesn't take on anything. I know he's doing well because he and his wife live in the Virgin Islands for 2 months a year.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, they
He's
go
doing
down
okay.
for a couple months, and when he's not in show choir and she works from home. So, yeah, and he's jetting. He was just on stage with Old Dominion in Council Bluffs, the country band, a few weeks ago.
Wow.
He's like I was in my 20s, just jetting around doing his thing.
Right.
But, so he's show choir. My daughter Taylor is at Waukee as a sped teacher, who's got her degree now in administration, and she was thinking AD. Now she's thinking assistant principal. Go for it. It's just a tough gig right now. And she's softball coach at Waukee. Had a lot of success playing softball at Waukee. AJ is in the financial world in Des Moines doing unbelievably well. Trent is at Iowa State coaching with Coach Campbell. He's the director of player personnel up there, which has been awesome. He's an Ankeny grad, so he's coming back on Friday nights to see me coach now, recruiting our kids. And we just love watching huddle and watching film. And, hey, what do you think about this kid? And Trent, what do you think about this defense? And we speak a lot of football's our love language for Trent and I. And my daughter, she's a free spirit. The other 4 graduated from Iowa State. Sight unseen, she decided to go to Iowa. And that's how she always was. You know that.
Yeah.
But she was the one that was going to do something different. Had a great experience, sorority life at Iowa. She was sports broadcasting as well. I was excited for that. I think she's got a lot of gifts in that. And right now she's running Willow Creek Golf Club out in West Des Moines. But she loves it and she's happy doing it. Yeah. So
she still have aspirations for
don't know. We're kind of in that right now mode of I don't really want to know what I want to do with my life. And I said I was there about 8 times, Miles. So
I'm still there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's it.
Yeah.
And when you think you know, then you find out you don't really know.
Right.
That's
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
thanks for asking. All of them are great. Kristen, my wife, well, she's semi-retired. When I retired, she went another semester, and I think she said that was the deal. Rob, you know that.
Right.
So I'm a little bit younger than you, but when you go, I go. So we get to spend. We thought we were going to spend a lot of time together, but she's picked up a little semi-part-time job. I'm, getting after work, but we're traveling a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, just Scottsdale, New York. I mean, we've been to the islands. We're living our best life. So the MVP in all this is Ipers. Ipers is the MVP, man. That's the greatest.
Well, Kristen was such an influence on my daughter.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'm hoping she hears this and knows that. But, Corinne still talks about winning Battle of the Books with her friend Jessie in Kristen's class. And we still came across the trophy. They still have the trophies that they got that day, yeah. And Allie being an English major, she used to love Kristen's classes. And
she was at Baxter for a little bit, went to Ankeny. Taught a lot of years. I don't know how many. A lot of years in Ankeny, and she was kind of getting a little burnout. And I said, "Hey, honey, think about coming back to Baxter. I've got a middle school ELA job open."
Mm-hmm.
She was an elementary teacher. And I said, "I'm going to tell you, I think ELA, and I think they're too old." One, she loved it, and it was about. I remember 3 weeks into the school year, and I came in on one of her prep, and I had my principal hat on. And I said, "I had no idea how good a teacher you were. I knew you taught. I knew you loved teaching." She was an outstanding teacher, and I've had a lot of. She was really good, and I say that not because she's my wife, but yeah,
right.
Kids. I mean, it quickly went from I was not the most popular Luther in the building. Quick.
Yeah, I'm not. You were teetering that edge even as the sole Luther.
Any other Luther probably would have been more.
So let's talk a little bit about your coaching career.
Okay.
What games, players, staff members, what sticks out? I mean, if you're writing your memoirs right now, who gets a chapter? Yeah. Or what game gets a chapter? What team gets a chapter?
The first answer is it's about relationships. Mm-hmm. So I say that before, and believe me, I mean, whether it's Coach Van Winkle or Coach Hinkle and all these guys that were influenced on me that won more games than I've won, been lucky to win some. It's all about relationships. And as you grow into this and you know that coaching, as a young kid, you think you're going to X and O everybody. Give me the marker last,
right.
I'm the smartest one in the room. Then you start to realize that these kids just love the program and love each other and maybe love you, and you teach life through football.
Right.
Good things happen.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you're blessed with some great players, and sometimes you're not blessed with great players. You know that.
Yep.
And sometimes your years with really good players are underachieving and not fun. And I had a 4-5 season. That's one of my favorite seasons. I thought we won 3 games we shouldn't win, and we're in. You know.
Yeah.
Coaching friends of mine, I mean, that's the first thing. Whether we coach together, I think of you, Padge, and Aker, and Haas. I can go on and on about all these guys that seem like they stayed a long time. So we just had fun.
Yeah.
That chapter is just, I mean, there are stories I will not tell on this mic that are
right.
unbelievably
right.
great stories.
Right. The karaoke story comes to mind, but
that's tame. But wait,
it is tame, I know.
Always off Coach Pat, off every playoff win, we would go down to an established in Altoona and do karaoke.
Which is no longer there. It's so sad.
Fireside's back.
Oh, is it back? Okay.
It's there.
All right.
I don't know if they're doing karaoke. I haven't done that in a while, but that went to the wayside. But there's so many players, Padge, and some were great all-state kids. And, there's kids that I've seen once or twice. Travis Etheridge comes to mind. I don't even know why that was. I just saw him a couple years ago. He was on a really good team for us.
Yeah.
And just him coming in and then saying, and here's what, telling me now what that meant back then. The things we were doing then are the lessons. Because I didn't know if I ever touched Travis Etheridge. I coached him as a linebacker. Right. He was a great tackler. He was a great kid on the field.
Undersized, but just heart of the line.
Boy, let me tell you. And then of all the guys that came back and have coached with me, so I just talked about Braden Aker, who broke crazy passing records at Baxter, an 8-man. He's now my quarterback's coach as the OC at Ankeny.
Right.
Ryan Travis, who's been at Baxter forever, was on my first CMB team that I coached there.
Right.
And I go back to Danny Sampson and Cole Dan, all these kids that have kind of Will Clapper that have found their way back, even if it's just helping in the summer or being a part of stuff. And so I go to relationships more than wins. I mean, we all have the game or two that you just will never forget on the positive, and you have a game or two that you go, that was the worst loss I've ever experienced. We all have those.
People that don't coach, I find, sometimes think your best memories, your best relationships are always with the most talented, and that's just not true.
Not true at all.
Yeah.
Not true at all.
In fact, you can have those kids that are really talented that you just don't want to hang around with. I mean, you do because that's your job, and you want to mentor them. But it's just like,
Even my last year at Baxter, so I retired as a principal and then decided to coach one more. Probably a mistake in hindsight because I love those kids so much. That group was really special to me.
Yeah.
Parents Halsey, Carter Smith, Robinson, I go on, Grant Andrew, all of them.
Yep.
I came back to coach them, and I think there was a disconnect because I couldn't be around in the summer much because of some retirement issues.
Right.
It just felt disjointed to me, which probably meant it felt disjointed to them. We underachieved. We had a great relationship year, but we underachieved. Mm-hmm. So it's those teams that you remember. Some of our best teams were ones that I don't think some of those CMB towards the end were tough. I mean, we were breaking up. It was still good teams, but it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah. You navigated the CMB relationship, I thought, certainly better than I did, better than other coaches did, where it felt like you were able to build relationships with some of the CM kids being in Baxter better than other coaches did. And
Yeah, I think so, and it's not me maybe, but I think summer weight room is huge. So, we did a lot of things to build. I mean, I was just telling one of my Ankeny coaches that we're in homecoming this week at Ankeny. I said it was my, unbelievable least favorite 2 weeks. He's like, what? Yeah. I said, no. 2 weeks. We got the Collins Maxwell homecoming and the Baxter homecoming and 2 parades and 2 halftimes and 2 dress-up days, and you can just go on and on with that. But I do think sports, when there's so many kids from both buildings, we did a lot in the summer. We did a lot of camp team building. We bust over for weights together. I mean, those things that other people don't have to do, we kind of said we have to do, or we're just going to be disjointed all the time. But yeah, it was tough towards the end of that.
Yeah, it was. So we've talked about people and relationships. What games stand out?
Right when you say that. So the first game that stands out to me is Centennial last week because it's the most recent, and I don't have a great memory, and it was an in-town rival.
Right.
Some of the biggest wins probably were the Albia game over there.
2014.
What a great night that was, and it was 2 ranked teams. And they were probably better than us. So anytime that you win a game that you prepare harder and believe harder, but maybe don't have the better players, that it was just you'll never forget that. I remember PCM had our number for a long time because we were 2A and played. I maybe lost 4 in a row. 3 in a row. It was enough that it wasn't good, and we went over to PCM to win a district title. And I can just remember everybody. It was at a much smaller level. The crowd. I mean, it was everybody. It was a field storming. And I remember Zach Sampson running over. And he was a little ball boy at the time. I mean, I remember those things like that. Those are, and it's not about win 100, win 150, whatever it is, because it's just about that feeling you had. But I always say, and you know this. Man, the lows are always worse than the highs. So you say, what games do you remember on the negative? I could, instead of 2 or 3, I could rattle 7, because if I would have done this, and if we would have done this, and I mean, those ones are the ones. And it's not so much because I want another win, or even a district title. It's what that is for those kids. And what you realize, no matter what it was, their memories are still with them and strong, and they still, whether they're talking about that old Coach Luther's dumb 2-point conversion that cost us, but it's still having that, it was the journey. Yeah. And it sounds cliche, but it is about the journey. Yeah. It's always about the journey.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
That Langenberg team that went to the Dome, that was a great time. Yeah. That was a great season.
Oh, buddy, that was fun. That was a great run.
Yeah.
And we had Bryce Kemp who played at Eastern Michigan. That was the only CMB undefeated team in CMB in regular season. The only had a lot of 8-1s. We'd never ran the table.
That was 2014, right? The same year as you beat Albia down there.
Yeah, it sure was. Brady Stover and Hunter McCord was a sophomore, and that was that same year. And I remember. Do you remember the game at Baxter to go? 9-0. They wanted to get Clayton Wealth a touchdown. Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday. That whole story, which is just funny in itself.
So Bryce, slid down at the 1-yard line. You looked upset because you thought, what's going on?
Yeah, because we'd already tried to give Clayton the ball 2 or 3 times on another series inside the 5. And it's like Clayton was a senior captain lineman, great kid. I live across from his mom right now.
Do you really? Yeah.
And he didn't get in, so that ship sailed.
Right,
we're done.
We thought it was all over.
We're going to just win this thing. I think it was a fourth quarter return kick that Bryce Kemp was going to return one, and he slid at the 1.
Was it Centerville?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Centerville at our place. Yeah. And I was like, because it was like still 4 minutes. It wasn't like, hey, we're just going to slide and run this clock out, and we were way ahead.
Right.
What are you doing? And then he's like, and then how do I not give Clayton the ball?
Yeah,
now?
you had to at that point. And Clayton had to score at that point, too.
and he did. Yeah. It was a big deal. Now I'm that old guy. I used to be the 30-something guy to listen to those old guys in the coffee shop or down in the Baxter and listen to Stan Allspaws of the world.
Right.
Neil Seals of the world. And now I'm that guy. And everybody wants to hear the stories. It's like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I know. And here you are. Tell me your
telling the story. I guess it's just because I have a lot of chapters.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Well, What Do You Know? The podcast created to tell people's stories. Everybody's got a story, and every story is worth saving.
The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Well, What Do You Know podcast, P Square Design, Pagitech LLC, or our sponsors. The Well, What Do You Know podcast, its parent company, and its sponsors are not responsible for any statements made by guests during the recording or publication of this episode.